Sister Circle. Yeah. Sister Circle. Scream it out. Sister Circle. Yeah. Sister Circle. Scream it out. Scream it out.
Between a rock and a hard place, looking for somewhere to call a safe space, where women crowd around and say it's okay. They all about their action, so they gon' pray.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, sisters. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. We are live and we are excited. We are pushing in and we're going to dig in even further into our text around the Shunammite woman. Sisters, y'all did not remind me yesterday. We were supposed to start our fast on yesterday, as Circle Pastor has kind of given us that directive for the week. We are doing our liquid fast in the mornings. Just to put our fasting along with our prayer. We've been talking about prayer and we've been talking about travailing. And women of God, I don't know about you, I have some things that I have before the Lord, some things that I've laid on the bed, I've laid on the altar, as Pastor was talking to us about last week. And I know that I believe that God hears us when we come together. One of the things I've experienced about being a part of our sisterhood, our movement, is that God has heard us and God has answered for us. And so, sisters, I want to encourage you this morning, even if you forgot, because I forgot yesterday, I want to encourage you to take part in this fast over the next 4 days. So I'm going to encourage you, we're just doing liquid only, just for the first half of the day. So if you would refrain from your morning Starbies, or else you go to get your drinks, and we're going to lay this thing down on the altar this week. Sisters, can you do that for me? And then our last announcement for this morning, of course, you know I'm not going to forget to mention this. We are about 70, I think 73 days. Somebody tell me in the chat. I think Kendra told me yesterday it was 74 days. So we're about 73 days out from our gathering, Massachusetts. Woo! I'm excited. I'm excited. We had a state meeting last night with Circle Pastor and the ladies here in Massachusetts, and we are getting geared up and we are getting ready to have you. So, sisters, please make sure, again, even if you know that you're coming, you're saying, Pastor, I'm moving a few things around, that's fine. We've made it easy for you. And what we just need you to do is to go in, hit that link on the collective or on our website, click register, and then just leave your deposit just so that we know, so that we're able to make sure that we have prepared properly for the number of sisters that are going to come. Sisters, I want to tell you, this is not something you want to miss. The intentionality of our Circle Pastor and Kendra and others that are working so diligently. I want to shout out our state reps here, Lady Stacy, Sister Jalita, Ma Faye, and Pastor Mo. They have been working tirelessly, moving things around to make sure that we will be prepared to receive you. And sisters, I am excited. I'm excited to host y'all, right? I'm excited to have my sisters here with me. I talk about y'all so much. People are like, what's this thing, this sister circle thing? Well, now this is your opportunity. Come and see my sisters. And so I'm hoping to see some more of my sisters that are not from Mass to join us. And we're just going to come together. So sisters, make sure that you click that link, you get on, you register, just so that we know. We're trying to finalize a few details. And so the more that we know in terms of numbers, the better we can plan and prepare. Can you do that for me? I saw some of y'all move the needle yesterday. And so I have a number in mind this week that I'm trying to get us to. And so if you all love your big sis, and I know you do, I need you to get here on the, what does Pastor say? On the cat's back, plane, train, automobile, however you got to get here, pair up with your sisters. Come on, y'all that grew up in church like me, you know, we used to go to youth conventions, all those things. And as long as I get a piece of a pallet, a corner, you don't want to miss this. All right. All right, sisters, I am jumping into the word. I have an assignment this week. And so I've got to get us through up to a certain point. So when Circle Pastor comes back, she's going to close this whole thing out. And so I got to be, I got to be diligent about getting us there this week. All right. Good morning, sisters. Good morning. Good morning. I love you all. Let's jump in. So we're going to pick right back up in 2 Kings chapter 4. I'm going to try to step down into verse 23 this morning. And I want to just very quickly recap. Hey, Elder Tina, I want to recap where we covered yesterday, and then that'll jump us right into where I want to be for today. Is that all right? So yesterday, sisters, we spent time looking at the powerful decision of the Shunammite woman when her son died. And I talked to you yesterday about, instead of collapsing in that room with the problem, she made a choice. She tells her husband to send her that she could what? Run to the man of God. And we talked yesterday about what that revealed about faith-filled women. A faith-filled woman understands this powerful thing. If I can just get into his presence, something can change. And I'll even put a spin on that, sister. Something will change. It is impossible to be in the presence of the Lord and things to remain the same. And that's why, sisters, you have to have a resolve that I just got to get to his presence. I can't allow life circumstances to cause me to pull away from the place where God speaks to me. I can't allow life circumstances and disappointments to cause me to back away from the place where I receive strength. I cannot allow the things that are happening around me to cause me to withdraw from my refueling station. And if I can just get in his presence, sisters, my mind can be steadied. My strength can be renewed. If I can just get into his presence, God can breathe life into places that feel dead. And that is why, sisters, the enemy works so hard to distract us from the presence of God. Can you put that in the chat? The enemy works double time. He works overtime. He works triple and quadruple time to distract us, to keep us away from the presence of God. Because he knows something, sisters. He knows that if I ever really press in to the presence, if I would allow myself to linger there, if I would ever really seek God with my whole heart, something will shift. Sister, something will break and something will come alive again. Shifting, sisters, happens in the spirit before breaking ever happens in the situation. Can I say that again? Shifting happens in the spirit before breaking ever happens in my situation. Before I ever see change in my situation, it happens in the shift in the spirit. And where does that happen? When I'm in his presence. When you press into the presence of God, sisters, the first thing that usually happens is a shift. That shift may not immediately change your circumstance, but baby, it will change your atmosphere. It will change your perspective. It will change your spiritual posture. It will change your outlook on what is happening. And it will give you spiritual eyes to understand what has happened. And more importantly, sisters, it changes you. And in the story of the Shunammite woman, the miracle, the breaking of the death over her son does not happen immediately. What happens first, sisters, is a series of shifts. And sisters, this is why we've got to press in to his presence, because I need a series of shifts to occur before I ever see the breaking in my situation. And the first shift that she sees is a shift in her location. She leaves the room of death to pursue the presence of God. Can I encourage a sister who's been staring at this thing that is dead in front of you, that it's time for you to shift your location? Woo! It's time to leave that place and to pursue the presence of God. The second series in the shift is a shift in your focus from the problem to the promise. I'm not staring at this thing anymore. I'm looking at what God has promised. The next shift that occurs is a shift in your confession. We will declare that it shall be well. While the situation still looks hopeless, my confession is that it is well. well. And then lastly, as I talked to you about yesterday, is a shift in weight, taking the burden to the man of God and taking my burdens to God is a shift in how and what I'm carrying. That I realize when I'm in his presence, I am not alone. These shifts create a spiritual condition for breaking, sisters. A shift is an internal and a spiritual movement toward God, while a breaking is an external evidence that God has moved in my situation. And before I see movement in my situation, I need God to move in me. Before I see movement in my circumstances, I need God to move in my heart. I need God to change my mind. I need him to create in me a clean heart. I need him to renew a right spirit in me. Lord, change me. Before you change it, God, I need you to change me. So even if things around me are chaotic, I'm not consumed. I'm not overwhelmed because God, you've done a shift in me. And sometimes, sister, the thing we need more than we need him to change it, we need him to change us. Sisters, can you put that in the chat? God, I need you to change me. I need you to shift my faith. I need you to shift my focus. I need you to shift my words. I need you to shift my position. And sisters, once a shift happens, the breaking is only a matter of time. Sisters, the shift is the signal that breakthrough is on the way. And sisters, if something has been shifting in your heart while you've been pressing into God, while you've been seeking after God, don't despise that moment, because a shift in the presence of God is your sign that breaking is on the way. Can you encourage that sister in the chat? Breaking is on the way. I know, sis. It seems like it's not happening, but I came to remind somebody that God is not slack concerning his promises concerning you. Tell somebody a breaking is on the way. And when that shift happens, a breaking is not far behind. And yesterday, sisters, we said there are women who are watching alongside of us. And maybe you are that woman who's sitting in a room with situations that feel heavy, rooms filled with worry, rooms filled with unanswered questions, rooms where something in your life feels lifeless, rooms where you keep replaying the same thoughts, where you keep hearing and seeing the same fear. You're sitting in rooms where you keep replaying what has happened, your same what ifs, rooms where the weight of the situation seems like it just wants to sit there with you. It's so thick you can cut it with a knife. It's palpable. You feel it as soon as you open your eyes. And for some of you, it's even while you're trying to lay down. But sisters, I want you to make notice this morning of the Shunammite woman's response. I told you yesterday, she could have stayed in the room. She had a choice. She could have sat beside the bed. She had a choice. She could have let despair take over. She had a choice. She could have allowed grief to paralyze her. She had a choice. She could have stared at what looked dead until hopelessness convinced her that nothing could change. But the text shows us something powerful. The text shows us what a faith-filled woman does when life starts lifing. She refuses to sit there with it. Sister, can you tell that sister in the chat, when life starts lifing, I refuse to sit there with it. I don't have to stay here when life is throwing me its worst. I refuse to sit here with it. I have some place I can go. I have one I can run to. I have help for my situation. I don't have to sit here with this. Woo! Sister, can you encourage that sister in the chat and tell her you don't have to sit here with this? And sisters, sometimes the enemy's greatest strategy is not to just destroy you outright. It's to simply get you to sit there with it, to sit there with worry, to sit there with fear, to sit there with the negative doctor's report, to sit there long enough that your mind starts believing the situation will never change. But the devil is a liar. Our good sister Shunammite woman shows us another response. She decided that, nope, I flat out refuse to sit here with it. Tell somebody, I refuse to sit with this. Sisters, that's what the Spirit is saying to us today. We don't have to sit with this. We don't have to sit there and rehearse these problems. I don't have to sit here and feed my fear. I don't have to sit there and let the weight of the situation convince me that my story is over. Can I tell somebody he's not done with you yet? There's so much more to this story. That's why I can't sit in despair. And as a matter of fact, I refuse to. Tell that sister in the chat, I refuse to. It's more than a statement, sister. It's more than a preference. It is an assertion of a resolved will. When someone says, I refuse to, they are drawing a line in the sand. And this morning, we came to serve notice on the devil that we are drawing a line in the sand. I choose to believe God. I choose to take him at his word. I choose not to sit here with this. I choose to press into his presence. I refuse to accept what life is throwing at me. I refuse to stay here. I refuse to be bound. I refuse to be stuck. There's more to this story. Woo! And when I say I refuse to, it means I am firmly deciding not to do something or to not accept something. And regardless of the pressure, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of my feelings, regardless of what people say, I refuse to accept it. Sisters, when we refuse, we are asserting and communicating our determination to stay with God. It is an act of resistance of whatever it is that the enemy is bringing. And the Bible tells us that if you resist the devil, he will flee. It is my personal conviction. It is a boundary that I'm setting, that I'm telling every imp of the devil, you will not cross this line. It is stronger than just saying, I don't want to. It's stronger than saying I'd rather not. It's stronger than saying I'm not sure. I'm standing flat-footed right in the face of the devil, 10 toes down, saying I refuse. I refuse to let you come in my house and do what you want. I refuse. I refuse to let you have my ministry that God has been birthing in. I refuse. I refuse to let you steal my joy. I refuse. I refuse. This is my decision, and it has been made. It's done. It's sealed, and I'm not going back and forth with the devil. Can you put that in the chat, sister? I refuse. When someone says I refuse to, they are operating from a place of conviction. They are not operating out of emotion. And sisters, I got to challenge us. Too many of us are operating on what we feel. Baby, your feelings will lie to you. Your feelings will have you out of character. And the truth of the matter, as circumstances change, so do your feelings. But conviction stands its ground. Conviction holds its ground. Conviction says, I refuse to let bitterness take root in my heart. Conviction says, I refuse to allow fear to dictate my obedience to God. Conviction says, the refusal is my guardrail for my life. It helps me to guard my heart and my mind. Hallelujah. It helps me to keep myself aligned with God's will. And it is a boundary against what tries to enter. Woo! Sisters, when we say we refuse to, it establishes that boundary around my mind. It establishes a boundary around my spirit and my behavior. You are essentially saying, this stops with me. Can you put that in the chat, sister? This stops with me. This stops in my DNA. It stops in my bloodline. What my mother had to deal with, I won't have to deal with. What my grandmother dealt with, my children and my grandchildren won't have to deal with. What we've had to deal with in the past stops with me. Because when you ran into me, you ran out. Woo! This stops here and this stops now. I refuse to entertain doubts. I refuse to rehearse the offense. I refuse to let this situation define my faith. Refusal, sisters, is a form of spiritual resistance. And I don't know if you understand, but we are in a fight and there's everything coming up against us, but we have the ability to resist. Many breakthrough, sisters, begin just with a refusal. We just came out of Black History Month last month, but those of us that are of a darker complected skin know that Black history is not limited to 28 days in February. It's every day of the year. And part of what moved us from oppression was people refusing to accept what the oppressor was bringing. Sisters, you've got power with God. You've got the power of the word, and you need to use your spiritual weapons. A refusal to quit, a refusal to accept defeat, a refusal to agree with the lie, or to stay in a place where the problem happens is your spiritual warfare weapon. Faith, sisters, sometimes looks like saying, I won't stay where despair left me. Can you encourage that sister in the chat? I won't stay where despair left me. This is why she had to get up. This is why we have to get up. This is why we have to get into his presence. Because, sisters, it's in that presence that we get our refusal back. Tell somebody, I'm getting my refusal back. Woo! It's in his presence when I realize the hidden strength in my refusal. Refusal is quiet strength, sister. It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it sounds like this. I refuse to give up praying. I refuse to let disappointment harden my heart. I refuse to stop believing what God has said. And I refuse to sit here and drown in what just happened. Can you encourage that, sister? Don't sit there and drown in what has happened. Yes, it happened, but it's not going to kill you. Yes, it happened, but we will not drown. We will not be overcome because we are more than. Sister, you are more than an overcomer. I refuse to let what died in this room bury my faith in what God said. It is the inner decision, sister, that says even if the situation hasn't changed yet, I have. Woo! I have changed locations. And more importantly, I've changed my mind. Can you tell that, sister? I changed my mind. I thought this was it. But after I came out of his presence, I changed my mind. I thought there was no more hope. I thought I was going down for the last count. But tell somebody, I changed my mind. Refusal is the moment when faith stops negotiating with the problem. And sisters, I got to challenge you this morning. Too many of us are negotiating with the problem and losing sight of God's promises. Woo! Sisters, this is what it looks like. I have faith to look my situation in the face. Look my situations in the face and say, you may still be here, but I refuse to surrender my expectation of what God can do. Sisters, and this is where I got to jump into 23 before I let you go this morning. Her husband asked her, why are you going today? She simply says this, it shall be well. Can I look at this just for a few more minutes? Will you go with me, sisters? Give me just a few more minutes. She didn't say that because everything looked well. She said that because she had already decided that I refuse to give the final word to what I see right now. Can I encourage a sister this morning? You have to refuse to give the final word to what you see right now. I know what you see looks grim, but we don't give final word to that. We give final word to God's word. I refuse to believe this is how my story ends. I refuse to accept that the God who gave the promise has suddenly lost his power. I refuse to sit here with something dead when I know where the presence of God is. And sometimes, sister, the shift in your life begins in that moment when I say, I refuse to stay with this. I refuse to accept this. No, I'm not doing it. If God gave the promise, then I'm getting up and I'm going back to the one who gave it. Can I tell you that, sister? I'm getting up and I'm going back to the one who gave it. We are like the Shunammite woman. We refuse to accept what God promised has died, because here's what I know about God. He won't fail. He is not slack concerning his promise, and every word that he has spoken will come to pass. And so even if it looks like it is dead and God has not done what he has said, then I'm holding on to the promise. Because the same God who allowed the promise to enter my life is the same God who has the power over what looks impossible. And let me tell you, your refusal response won't only confuse the enemy, it will confuse the people around you. Look at the husband in the text. He asked her, why are you going today? Today is not church. This is not prayer service. This is not 6:30 a.m. nudge time. Why are you responding like this? In other words, he's saying to her, your behavior doesn't make sense right now. And sisters, here is the reality. Sometimes faith doesn't make sense to people who are not standing where you're standing. Woo! Sometimes the steps that God tells you to take will confuse the people around you. Sometimes your faith will look strange to people who only operate in logic. But the truth of the matter is, faith doesn't need anyone else's understanding. It just requires your obedience and your cooperation. The text lays it out for us so plainly, sisters. She does not argue with her husband. She does not try to explain everything. She simply says these powerful words, it shall be well. Now remember something, sisters. Her child is dead in the room, but her confession is, it shall be well. This is not denial. This is not some good self-talk. This is a woman who knows that God gave her a promise. It is a display of her unmoved belief in God and his ability. And sisters, sometimes this looks like trusting God even when your circumstances have not caught up yet. You are looking at a situation that looks impossible, and my response is, it shall be well. You are looking at a circumstance that is out of your hands, and my response is, it shall be well. And this is what I have to tell you this morning. Some things, sisters, you're going to have to separate your feelings from the spiritual, because my feelings are going on what's happening and they are set by the temperature of the room. But my spirit is in tune with what God has said. And so I will not allow my feelings to override the Holy Spirit. And I will declare and confess, it shall be well. Not because everything looks well, but because I've got a promise from one who is faithful. And because I've decided that where I'm taking my situation to. And sisters, I believe there's a woman on this live nudge this morning, or maybe on the replay, who's already said to herself, Pastor, this thing is trying to take me out. But I want to encourage you, today is your day to get your refusal back. And we declare today that we refuse to sit here with this. I'm getting up. I'm going back to God, and I'm putting the situation back in the hands of the one who gave the promise. Sisters, if that's you today, I want you to put this in the chat. I got to pause here. My time's up. I want you to put this in the chat. I'm getting up. I'm going back, and it shall be well. I got to say that again. I'm getting up. I'm going back, and it shall be well. Sisters, that is the encouragement for us today. You may still be traveling toward the answer. You will not have yet arrived there. You may still be on the journey. But just like the Shunammite woman, you can still testify. It shall be well. Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, Father, I pray for that sister that has this thing in front of her, that before you spoke to our hearts this morning, had quietly resolved to settle there with it. But Father, I speak to her inner man. We speak to her spirit on this morning that she's getting her refusal back. Oh, that about shit. That her fight is coming back. And we refuse to sit in places that do not align with your will for our life. So, Father, help us to stand our ground. Help us to hold this boundary. Help us to draw the line in the sand, not just for ourselves, but for everything attached to us, for our children and our children's children, for our ministries, for our parents, for our brothers, our sisters, our nieces, our nephews. The buck stops here, and we refuse to accept the lie of the enemy. Father, keep us until we come back together again tomorrow. We ask these things in your son's name. Sisters, I love you. Tomorrow we're transitioning. I got to get you through this text. We're going to jump in. If you want to read ahead of time, we're going to be in 24 and 26. A quick glimpse of where we're going tomorrow, because the story doesn't stop at her confession. We're going to begin to see what happens next as this faith-filled woman continues her journey. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about 3 powerful movements in her pursuit of God. First, we're going to talk about the urgency in pursuing God. You can't slow down. Then we're going to talk about God sees us before we arrive. And then lastly, we're going to talk about maintaining our confession while we wait. Sisters, today you've made that decision not to sit there with it. And tomorrow we're going to learn how to keep moving toward God with urgency while holding on to our confession. It shall be well. I love you. I'll see you back here tomorrow for day 52 at 6:30 a.m.
Sister Circle, yeah. Sister Circle, screaming out. Sister Circle, yeah. Sister Circle, screaming out. Screaming out.
Between a rock and a hard place, looking for somewhere to call a safe space, where women crowd around and say it's okay. They all about their action, so they gon' pray.